Professor Kwandiwe Kondlo is the academic director at the Wits School of Governance and is also a political commentator, and he joins us now via Zoom. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Always good to talk to you. Welcome to the program.
Thanks, Peter.
All right, so the PAC's elective conference got off to a rocky start. We're seeing all manner of violent acts. What does that tell us? Because this party has quite a history in terms of internal fighting.
Yes, you're absolutely right, Peter. The PAC has quite a history of internal political leadership conflicts. In fact, you can trace this from the time of Libalo, who was the president of the PAC in exile. This has continued ever since, up till today. But the incident which happened at this particular conference, I'm not sure whether did we see it repeating again, because it's like after that incident, things have been able to just proceed smoothly. So I'm not trying to say we are reading too much into this particular incident, but the point is, I think we also need to appreciate the fact that I think the PAC is slowly trying to get its house in order. Mr. Nyonso, the PAC president, I think he is slowly doing some good work to get the organization to function. Of course, that history and political culture of division, backstabbing, internal fights, it's not going to disappear very soon. It's gonna still remain a feature of PAC politics for quite a while.
There was a time when the leadership itself was questioned and it had to be settled in the courts. Do you think they were able to move forward from that, or were there tensions that maybe remained within the system?
There are still lots of tensions actually within the PAC, because even the faction led by Narius Mloto that was challenging for presidency, I don't think that faction has actually given up, and that faction has not disappeared. It is still there, and that faction does command a certain degree of influence, especially if you look at the trade union movement, which is sort of pro-PAC NACTU. Yeah, they do have influence in that particular space. I think it's going to require a lot of negotiations, mediation as well, to get this faction back into the fold of the PAC, the official PAC wing, which is led by Mr. Nyonso.
The PAC, again, has quite a history, and one stage, quite a sizable movement. But over time, when we look at the numbers, it holds in public office, it has shrunk significantly. And I just wonder, as this conference happens, where is its place in South African politics in 2022?
Well, Peter, definitely the PAC still has a place in South African politics, especially if you consider the fact that despite the organizational intrigue and the chaos that you see, the ideas that the PAC embraces, the integrity of such ideas is very difficult to challenge. There are ideas about the resolution of several national issues that are part of the national question, which the PAC is still standing for. the land question is one very, very important idea the PAC continues to champion, even though it's championing it now from a very weakened position due to internal divisions. But there's still a lot of ideas, the values of Pan-Africanism, which our young people actually admire about the PAC, and especially the ideas of Robert Mangaliso Sobukwe, the founding president of the Pan-Africanists. In other words, they still have a role to play in the South African landscape. Well, the question is that, are they going to improve the space they occupy, given the internal battles they're still dealing with? Well, I can't tell that one, but I think the PAC's decision to come into some collaboration with AZAPO, Azanian People's Organization, was a good idea. It's a good move. Whether this is going to appeal to the South African electorate, I doubt, because the politics of today are completely different from the politics of the 1960s, 70s, and even the 1980s. The politics of today are very much about personal survival and sustenance, you see. And you find very few people who are really prepared to spend a lot of time interrogating ideas to find which idea is best suited for our situation. People don't have time for that, you see. People want an organization which is popular, which deals with bread and butter issues, which can give them opportunities to access jobs and so forth. And that you don't find in the PAC at this stage, and also even with Azanian People's Organization.
If we were to ask citizens, what does the PAC stand for? Would it be clear? You've mentioned the land issue. Many parties talk about it now and have been talking about it. What sets it apart that people can hold on to and say, this is a party that I want to belong to, a movement that I really believe in? Because what you've described is not unlike what a lot of other parties are preaching.
Yeah. Well, from my understanding, and especially sometimes doing field work in communities, you do find pockets of South African society that don't want to forget the Sharpeville massacre. And that massacre is associated with the Pan-Africanist Congress. You still find communities where the Poko movement and racist attacks, many African people who are not even participants in the movement, they suffered because of the people still remember all these issues. So in other words, I'm trying to say there is still a lot of historical memory of struggle the PAC is associated with and credited for. But if I was really their strategic advisor, I would actually encourage the PAC to focus more on young people, you see, because the ideas they cherish, they are still relevant even today. The fact that the state of the organization is so shabby, it's unfortunate. But the ideas the Pan-Africanist Congress stands for are still very relevant. Yes, the land question, it has been bastardized, sort of, because you find everybody in the political landscape talking about the land question. Everybody in the political landscape in South Africa is pro-poor. But you know, many of them are actually lying. They don't mean it.
All right.
And same as the land question, they talk about it, but they are not genuine about it.
All right. For this elective conference to be successful, what needs to come out of this? What must leadership be saying to its party members and to the country?
Peter, I would say, as a person who's done research and actually written a book on liberation movements, and my book, my case study was the PAC in my book. I would say what leadership at this particular conference would actually need to emphasize. I'm saying something which has been a problem in the history of the PAC right up till to date. It's strengthening internal organizational systems, internal controls, policies, especially policies relating to the escalation of issues when members at branch level don't agree, you see, rather than embarrassing one another at a national conference and on national television. The PAC has always been very weak when it comes to the establishment of robust internal systems and controls. And this has always created a platform, you see, for many internal intrigues, battles, and fights. I hope the leadership of the PAC could actually see the importance of identifying people who can be trusted to oversee the systems and internal controls, to build a solid organization, even if it's small, but build a solid organization first, and then move on after that.
All right, Prof, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much. Always good talking to you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Peter.
Thanks so much indeed. Yeah, that was a conversation we're having about the Pan-African Congress's elective conference, which is taking place in Limpopo at this time. It looked like it was starting on shaky ground, but things certainly have calmed down, and the elective conference continues, and we'll keep you updated on its outcomes.